It genuinely astounds me in this day and age where we know a whole lot more about a whole lot more things, that we are still, women, well even men, are still buying antiperspirants for their underarms. So like, let's just think really basically and logically about this. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a qualified naturopath or anything like that. I'm just a lifelong learner of all things natural and just, you know, about understanding the bodily anatomy and the way things work and how you can be your healthiest version of yourself. Even then, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, I'm not saying that I do everything all natural either, and I'm also not saying that doing this particular thing which I'm about to show you is going to prevent or cure any kind of thing either. What I am saying is that it makes no sense to me that people are still using antiperspirant in your armpits. So our armpits are where we detox, so obviously that's why we sweat. We're sweating, we're detoxing out, and our body is designed to literally detox impurities from our armpits. So, and we literally are putting antiperspirants on to stop ourselves from sweating. It makes no freaking sense. But so you might have seen there's lots of different products on the market now, much more than there were when I first started using what I'm using right now. But every single natural under product, every single one of them has one common ingredient that I've seen so far. And in every one of those fairly expensive natural deodorants is baking soda. So this is literally all I do for deodorant, because it's actually baking soda that neutralizes the bacteria which causes the smell that we call BO. So you literally just want to, I just use a makeup brush honestly, you just put a little bit of baking soda on there, straight under your armpit, and that is your deodorant for the day. That will neutralize the bacteria that causes the body odor. So what causes the smell? This gets neutralized by baking soda, which is a natural ingredient. Everybody talks about getting aluminium free baking soda, but for the most part they are aluminium free. You can do some research on that, but you know, you obviously don't want aluminium in your deodorant products, because if you think about it, you're putting chemicals straight under your armpits and into your lymph nodes. We've got tons of lymph nodes out there in the underneath your armpit and into your breast tissue, and they draw in toxins, but you actually have to bounce this area, like so rebounding on a little trampoline or whatever, or you know, moving your body up and down like a runner or whatever, star jumps or whatever. You actually need to detox your armpits manually. They don't just, if you're going to, you'll sweat, but you actually need some movement to get those lymph nodes really draining. So you can imagine all of the toxins and all of the chemicals that get stuck in those lymph nodes. What do you think happens when you get overload of toxins and chemicals into those lymph nodes? What do you think happens? I mean, I'm not going to say what I feel like is the obvious thing, and I'm not going to say that baking soda is going to stop, reverse, cure or prevent anything from happening. I'm not saying that, but you know, why risk putting all these different chemicals and toxins under your armpits when you know this is all connected? This is all connected to your breast tissue. Why would we want to do that? So let me just tell you a little bit about the baking soda situation. So if you've got sensitive skin, which I do, you can actually end up having a bit of a reaction to baking soda, because it can be a bit abrasive or a bit harsh under your armpits if you're quite sensitive. And that's why they, with the natural deodorants, they mix them with like shea butter and essential oils and things like that to make them smell pretty and go on, you know, like the shea butter mixed with the baking soda helps it to just sort of be a little bit calmer under your armpit. But it's literally the baking soda that neutralizes the smell. So it neutralizes the bacteria that causes the smell. So you really only need the baking soda to neutralize the smell, and literally that's all I use every day, and I never ever get BO. I don't get BO. So when you do stop putting deodorants and antiperspirants under your arm, you are going to have a herxing reaction. You are going to have a detox reaction, because your body's actually going to start expelling some of that those toxins under your armpits, because you're not masking them anymore. So potentially, to begin with, you could end up being a little bit stinkier, and you're saying, I thought you said the baking soda makes you less stinky. Well, yes, but also you're going to be detoxing, so your armpits are getting rid of all of these toxins and chemicals, and that's going to create, you know, some kind of smell anyway. You might not get that stink, you might not, but I would just give it a good couple of weeks of really giving it a whirl to let your armpits detox and to actually start seeing this product work. When I first started using it, I did get red armpits. I still knew that my body was doing what it was supposed to and detoxing out the chemicals and toxins. So it's still a good for you, and it's still part of the process, potentially, not for everybody. Yeah, anyway, give it a go, give it a couple of weeks. If you do get the irritation under your armpit, you can soothe it, like you can actually dampen a cloth and put some apple cider vinegar on, and like, you know, just clean your armpits with apple cider vinegar before you go to bed. That only smells for about half a minute, and then that dissolves as well. And so apple cider vinegar is a good pH neutralizer, so that'll help your armpits to just settle and rest. But I implore you, give it a go. Why are we still in this day and age putting toxins and chemicals into armpits and lymph nodes? Do not ask me, I would not have a clue. And if you can't afford a natural deodorant, then baking soda is actually the perfect solution. Alright, give it a whirl, let me know how you go.